I love this part of the offseason. We're still fresh after the Kevin Stefanski hiring, so I decided that I wanted to give you some free agent names that Kevin Stefanski could specifically bring in based off of his time at the Cleveland Browns, and even before that with the Minnesota Vikings. And because obviously we know that free agency is coming up here in about a month and a half, we've got some big names to talk about. Falcons fans, welcome into Falcons Today by Chat Sports. My name is Moose. Important dates that you need to know for this offseason. Legal tampering period begins on March 9th, which is exactly 7 weeks from today at the time of this recording. Free agency, of course, though, is officially from March 11th through the 13th, and the NFL draft coming up on the 23rd through the 25th. Now, like I told you, free agency targets, this is going to be kind of an ongoing series until we get to that point in March 9th. Where we do have that legal tampering period. This specific episode is going to be focused on the players that have played for Kevin Stefanski before. So I'm not going to give you any players that are currently on the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not going to give you any players that are currently on the Seattle Seahawks. None of that. I'm going to give you players that have played for Kevin Stefanski. And also, Atlanta has a chunk of money right now to play with after the Kirk restructuring. So this is going to be good news. You will see a very aggressive, in my opinion, Kevin Stefanski, Matt Ryan, and whoever the GM is going to be here in just a little bit. This is going to be the first real footprint, by the way, of not only Stefanski, but the front office as well. Let's get the question out of the way before we start. Who is your top NFL free agent target? If you've got somebody that is maybe on the Dirty Birds already, maybe you've got somebody that is on another team right now, let me know that name in the comment section down below. Okay. Falcons needs before we start. I've already briefly touched on this in a previous episode. High priority is nose tackle / defensive tackles. Then another high priority is wide receivers. Those are the two major ones. Then I'd say corner, quarterback at the back half, and then lower priority depth on the offensive line. With that being said, let's get into our list. First free agent target for Atlanta in 2026 that Kevin Stefanski has coached. David Njoku, tight end from the Cleveland Browns. Notably 30 years old now and probably has his better days behind him. But at 30 years old, trust me, as someone who's about to turn 30, I'm still feeling like I was 21, just maybe a slightly more tired version of myself when I was 21. But you can clearly see that the 2025 statistics this year were not kind to David Njoku. That's not because he fell off of a freaking cliff. That's because Harold Fannin, who was drafted out of Bowling Green, is younger and plays a little bit more like Kyle Pitts, and Shedeur Sanders and that hodgepodge of quarterbacks in Cleveland clearly decided that they liked Harold Fannin better than they liked David Njoku. Still, though, 33 receptions for almost 300 yards. He's a red zone threat, had a long at 23, had 4 touchdowns this year. I think you could still easily get a 500 to 700 yard season out of David Njoku. And most importantly, David Njoku plays differently than Kyle Pitts. He's a traditional tight end as both a receiving target and as a blocking threat. CBS Sports said this on David Njoku. Njoku lost his spot as the Browns' top tight end while dealing with knee injuries for most of the season. Rookie Harold Fannin Jr. became the quick go-to guy for Shedeur Sanders, and if healthy, he's available middle of the field and a red zone weapon. Turning 30 and dealing with injuries, though, should make him a more attainable target than years past. Here's the good news. He would cost less than what it would have cost even 2 years ago for him. And he is more traditional than Kyle Pitts, like I told you. This is a player that is going to block but also be a middle of the field, up the seam in the red zone, where notably the Falcons struggled this year alongside being on third down. So I do think that David Njoku is not only a chain mover, but also a score threat. Yeah, a red zone score threat. I don't know why that blanked on me there for a second, but I would have no problem signing David Njoku to a 1 or 2 year deal whatsoever. Let's move on to our second free agent target, also for the Cleveland Browns, Shelby Harris, but this is a defensive nose tackle. And this is not the first time I've talked about Shelby Harris on the channel. Big NFL savvy veteran. And this is pretty good numbers for a guy who's, 33, 34 years old. 32 tackles, 7 for loss, 1 sack, and a PFF grade of damn near 62. He is an old player. He is an old player. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. You would not be signing Shelby Harris to a 3 or 4 year deal, 2 maximum, but more likely a 1 and prove it deal. This could be a one and done, but it could also be a, hey, we're going to sign you with a 1 year deal. If you go out and have another one, we'll give you another 1 year contract deal. You can ride off into the sunset. I do believe that this should be a high priority signing because for a guy with that savvy presence in the middle of a defensive line, kind of like that anchor, this is a player that could immediately plug and play and help that run defense out, which notably Atlanta struggled with pretty much all season long. It got better as the season went along, I thought, but for that chunk of the middle of the season, from like weeks 3 to about week 13, it was just the biggest problem the Falcons had on defense. Now, coming up, I'm going to give you more free agent targets, 2 more names that you need to know, both of which, by the way, are on the offensive side of the football. Now, before we do that, got to tell you about my friends over at Prize Picks. The big game is coming up, my friends, and there is no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it is always good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, this also means your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close out the season the right way with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. They got a brand new feature, by the way. They have early payouts, meaning if your lineup gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Speaking of lineups, takes 30 seconds to make. One, you pick a player, more or less on their stat projection. Watch your money multiply. Up to 2,000 times your cash this football season on Prize Picks. So do me a favor, download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code CLNS to get $50 instantly in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It is good to be right. Nick Chubb as my next free agent target here, specifically for Kevin Stefanski. And if you are just joining us halfway through the episode, welcome, by the way. These are all players that Kevin Stefanski has coached at one point in his tenure. Now, the reason I bring up Nick Chubb, I know what you're wondering. Running back's not a high priority need. Well, it is if Tyler Algier leaves. I know we've got Bijan, best player in the league, best at his position. Yes. But the 1-2 combo of Tyler Algier and Nick Chubb have been excellent this year. I want to re-sign Tyler Algier. I will make this very clear. I want to re-sign him. But in the event that he decides to take more money based off of a really good year that he had, you could go out and explore Nick Chubb, who put up damn near the exact same numbers minus the touchdowns. He had 21 less carries, and yet only 8 yards less. He did score less than Tyler Algier. There's no doubt about it. But he averaged more yards per carry and had the almost exact same PFF grade. And again, I want to be so for real because I know some Falcons fan is going to get down in the comments and say, we're not getting rid of Tyler Algier. You might have to. It's not up to us. I mean, we could offer him a contract extension. Then it would be up to us. But if he wants to explore somewhere else, more power to him. So I would say Nick Chubb is a really, really nice Tyler Algier replacement. Now, Jerry Jeudy comes in as our last free agent target. And look, he's not a free agent, actually, believe it or not. So he's not actually somebody that you could go out and just sign. You'd have to trade for him. But I put this guy on this list simply because you could trade for him in free agency. That is a possibility, specifically if you got into the legal tampering period and just decided hey, we were going to give up a 4th-round draft pick this year to go get Jerry Jeudy. That's another option for you. I do want to be very for real about this. This was not a great year for Jeudy at all. Not great at all. 600 yards is fine. 2 touchdowns is bad. The average is fine. 10 drops is one of the worst in the league. In fact, I'm pretty sure he was in the top 3 of drops this year for the NFL. That's not good at all. There's a lot of talent that Jerry Jeudy has, but 10 drops is absolutely insane. It just is. I can't make any excuses for him. And I'm sure you're wondering, well, if he's got all those drops, why do you want to bring him in? Well, the reason I say that is because this might not be a Jerry Jeudy problem necessarily. It is in part, but when you find out the rotation of quarterbacks that he was dealing with this year and then what he was able to do in 2024, you'll shit your pants. But first, let's talk about the Falcons wide receiver depth chart. Darnell Mooney is most likely out the window. I don't think he's going to re-sign with the Atlanta Falcons. I think he's going to go somewhere else. After Darnell Mooney leaves, or if he leaves, you don't have anyone else right now that's actually worth a damn. You don't. Your next best is David Sills. That's pathetic. You need someone at the wide receiver 2 position. And Jeudy can be an excellent wide receiver 2 because he's been a really productive one when he's been in Cleveland. So let's just take a look. Like I said, you'll shit your pants. Jeudy the last 2 seasons. Look at the 2025 stats compared to the 2024 stats. They are so much better in 2024. And who is his quarterback for the majority of the 2024 season? Jameis Winston. In 2025, he had Joe Flacco. He had Kenny Pickett. He had Dylan Gabriel. Oh, he didn't have Kenny Pickett. He had Dylan Gabriel, and he had Shedeur Sanders. 2 rookies and old man Flacco. If you just gave him Michael Penix Jr. or hell, even Kirk Cousins, boom. You are looking at probably somewhere right between what he was doing in 2024 and what he did in 2025. So I'll call it 70 receptions for 800, 900 yards, 4 to 5 touchdowns, and average right around 13 yards per carry. I'd be okay with that, especially because if you trade him, his contract hit or his cap hit is only $6.8 million. But like I said, you would have to give up some draft capital. You'd have to give up like a 4th-round pick, maybe a 5th-round pick next year because you don't have one this year. Long and Dirty, by the way, was on this too. Just letting you know. Here's what they had to say. Jerry Jeudy is a possible trade candidate. Landing him on his current contract would only incur a cap hit of $6.8 million. That said, he has had problems with drops, and Falcons fans won't want to watch that. But I will also be the first one to stamp my seal of approval for any wide receiver that has more talent than Darnell Mooney did this last year, despite the injuries. You know, I think Jerry Jeudy is a far more talented player. He's a far more talented route runner, and this could be easy for getting Drake London in some very nice one-on-one matchups. So I think Jerry Jeudy would make a lot of sense to go out and trade for. Kevin Stefanski knows what kind of player he is, knows what kind of routes he likes to run, know what kind of concepts he likes to run. So if you would add any of these players, any one of the 4, type your Y for yes or type your N for no. I would say if I had to go after anyone on this list, I'm probably going after David Njoku or Shelby Harris. Last on the list would I'd probably go in order. Njoku, Harris, Chubb, and then Jeudy. That'd probably be my my top 4 in order right there. But that's all I got for you on this episode. I wanted to bring you something different. Remember, all of those candidates were people that Kevin Stefanski specifically coached. So that could be something that he does want to explore in the early days of his tenure as the Falcons head coach. Like I said, that's all I got. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like today's video, and as always, rise up and be cool.